to another end of the year video. In this video, I'm going to talk about my most surprising books of 2020. These books were all favorites, but not my favorite top 5 books of 2020. These books were the books that I expected something, but I found it to be much more than what I expected, and maybe felt much more connected to the book than I initially expected. So this was how I came up with the list. Like I did with my most disappointing books of 2020, I will insert clips from my wrap-ups of those books so that my reactions to those books will be much more current. So let's see what were the books that were most surprising for me in 2020. And the last book that I read for my reading goals of 2020 was Life After Life by Atkinson. It was a book that I gave a second chance to. I previously DNF'd this book, I think about 3 years ago. When I joined BookTube, I've heard so many good things about this book. And actually Veronica herself told me she had also DNF'd the book, but gave it a second chance and really enjoyed the book very much, and that was exactly my experience with the book. This book tells the story of Ursula Todd, in which she lives her life over and over. The story takes place between the years of 110 and 160, I think. I actually rolled my eyes at the point in which I DNF'd the book, 17%, and I was like, oh no, not again. But then I remembered all the good things that were told about this book and kept on going. And by the 21st attempt, I was hooked into the story. My advice for anyone who wants to read this book, please go to at least 20%, and if you still did not like it, then of course you can DNF it. The story after that point became very emotional and very strong, and had very strong messages about the hardships of war, the reality of being a very clever and well-educated woman in the first half of 20th century. And the book also had very endearing side characters, such as her sister and brother and her father. This was the only book that was a success in my project of giving the books a second chance, and I gave the book an 8 out of 10. The last book that I finished in the first half of January was Lost Boy by Christina Henry. It is a retelling of Peter Pan, which I read in November. It tells the origin story of Captain Hook. In this book, Captain Hook was actually a friend of Peter Pan, a very good friend of Peter Pan, who was called Jamie. And in the beginning of the book, they are very good friends. And as the book progresses, it tells the story of how Jamie became to be Captain Hook. I actually liked this book much more than Peter Pan original, because I had many problems with the character of Peter Pan in the original book. I found this retelling very relatable because in this book we are seeing all of the events from Jamie's perspective, who will then become Captain Hook. Actually, Captain Hook was one of the most interesting characters in the original book for me as well. Therefore, I was really interested in the story and how he became this evil Captain Hook. And additionally, I liked the writing style very much. It was very easy to follow. And the last half of the book was a page turner for me, because I really wanted to know what would happen, even though I knew the ending. So that shows how good her writing was, and I want to thank Linda from World of Books for introducing me to Christina Henry, because I really liked her writing style and I want to try more books from her. My second to last book I finished was another modern classic, Ölüm bir varmış bir yokmuş by Jose Saramago. Death with Interruptions is the English title. This book tells about a country in which people stop dying in the beginning of the year. The book evaluates the social and the political and the economical consequences of this phenomena. When I read the synopsis of the book, I thought, well, this book is not something that I'm going to like. But surprisingly, I liked it very much. I like the idea of exploring the social and economical consequences of immortality. And I also like the second half of the book very much. The reason that I could not give it more than 8 out of 10 is because of the writing style. I really hated the writing style. It had all the things that I get annoyed with. It did not have quotations. It had long paragraphs, and also some of the sentences did not start with capital letters. As a reader who likes structured writing very, very much, it was a struggle to read, but still I managed to give it 8 out of 10. So maybe you will like it much more if you read it. It's a really good book, and I would advise this book to readers who do not mind such writing. Read my first graphic novel after so many years, Persepolis by Marjana Satrapi. It tells the real life story of Marjana Satrapi, who was first born in the secular state of Iran and then grows up in the background of Islamic Revolution, the war with Iraq, and then the peace and the oppressive regime of the Islamic Republic. I love this non-fiction graphic memoir. Reading 5 graphic novels was one of my yearly goals, and I managed to read one. And this was a recommendation from Tia in Tia and All the Books. You were right, Tia. This book was wonderful. I gave it 9 out of 10. My copy had 2 volumes combined, and I especially felt so much emotion in the first volume about how she questions everything, because she was born in a secular country, and then the way of thinking changed overnight, and because I live in the neighboring country and our cultures are similar and our religion is the same, I felt a very strong connection with the little girl Marjani. I didn't like the second volume as much, but it was still a very emotional read. And I loved how the graphic representation of the story fitted the plot perfectly. After the success of Persepolis, I cannot wait to read more graphic novels in the future. I finished my favorite book of the month, The Woman in Black by Susan Hill. I buddy read this with Tara from Buzzword Books, which was another great buddy reading experience. I'm very fortunate to have so many wonderful buddy reading friends. And the list gets larger and larger, and I just love this. I want to buddy read as much books as I can if it fits my schedule. The reason I loved this book so much is the writing style, actually. The writing style of the book was very easy to read, but on the other hand, it was a it had very good descriptions of the time period and also the haunting atmosphere throughout the book and the spaces And I especially loved how morally grey all of the characters were. And I heard that there is a play that is adapted by this book. And I will certainly try to listen to that play as well. Lastly, I want to say that in this buddy reading experience, we sort of caught some things that the other one didn't catch before, which was fantastic and made me enjoy the book much more. So that's why I gave this book 9 out of 10, the highest rated book that I read in October. So those were the books that were most surprising to me in 2020. When I looked at the list, I had sort of different reasons for finding them to be surprising. As a very general observation, I can say that these books belong to subgenres that I sort of find a bit harder to read, like young adult, magical realism, or graphic novels. This list showed that it's okay to try new genre. Even I feel a bit disappointed at times. I think trying new genres is worth to find such new favorite books. So those were my most surprising books of 2020. Please comment down below what were your most surprising books that you read in 2020, and also did you read any of the books that I've mentioned, and what did you think of them? If you're a new viewer, first of all, welcome. Please like and subscribe. Hope to see you very soon. Bye. As for Turkish word of the day, since one of the books in the list is The Lost Boy, I thought lost should be the word of the day. Lost means kayıp in Turkish, and kayıp is our Turkish word of the day. Have a good day.